But how can it be that all sentient beings suffer? So Jorge, depending what your model of reality is, that's up to you. I'm not saying all beings suffer, all beings are sentient or not. So I don't know. That's an individual case, but there are some view teachings that really say all sentient beings suffer, animals suffer because they're partially sentient, and so on and so on. And they usually place humans at the top of that sentient nature. But, sometimes I really wonder about that with the way we treat other beings. So, I don't know if I see dolphins being cruel per se, but maybe they are too. I don't know. But I certainly have, in my own personal opinion, the understanding that all of nature is sentient. If we know how to listen in some way, all of nature is sentient. Even things that people create can be sentient. In Shinto in Japan, it was a really cool thing to see that there's a ceremony every year in Tokyo where dolls and stuffed animals are brought back to this one temple in Tokyo, temples all over Japan, but I was at the ceremony in Tokyo, where children are giving their dolls up that they're no longer attached to or shouldn't be carrying around anymore, or stuffed animals, and they get a kind of funeral to liberate the spirit from that thing because it was created by humans. They say it's interesting. So anyway, everybody can do whatever they want thinking about that. It's not going to really stop you from becoming realized if you're following the tradition, okay? Number two, and if I didn't get what you're actually saying and the importance of it, why don't you type it back in and tell us right now? Because you said, how can it be that all sentient beings suffer? So I'm like, I don't know. It's more like individual opinion here, whether all beings suffer or not. I think they do, but it's up to everybody to choose. There's no proof. Number two is, in your questions, Jorge, is the red bindu above Ahankara related to the red bindu at the root when recalibrating the 5 radiant lights? Yes and no. Some aspects are related, some aren't. So the red bindu above, when we're doing recalibrating the Tattva Shuddhi, the 5 element lights, is related to the pure Parashakti. So we give it that color of pure red. Some systems will give it pure white and red as the lower energy. Doesn't really matter though. But is there a relationship between that and the red bindu in the human body? Well, in a sense, the red bindu in the human body is the home of the Parashakti that manifests as dynamism, right? So there's that. The Parashakti that manifests as knowledge is the white bindu, right? So there's some relation there because of that, but it's not complete or total. What does one's nadi mean in relation to the common use of the word nadi? I don't know common use of it, but in Sanskrit, nadi means pulse, flow, all these different meanings, like Ayurveda pulse, when you take a pulse in someone's wrist, it means a flow through life. It means what's an energy channel, so many different meanings. So I don't know what you mean by common, but what is one nadi? When we say one's nadi in Trikamasiddha Yoga, we mean the person's inborn fate. What is your inborn fate that is dharmic, so that you can realize your true nature the easiest, right? We also have inborn fate in negative ways as well, but the inborn fate that will help us realize our nature is obviously positive, and that's dharmic, okay? So that's what we're talking about there. Bobby Chop. Bobby's got a question here. When you have a nice experience and you're grateful for that moment, is that not an attachment? You have a nice experience and you're grateful for it. Is it not an attachment? What's the difference between having gratitude, acknowledging a blessing, and being attached to that moment? Okay. And you said, this one has me confused because it comes up often in my life. Being happy about something, then noticing that I'm enjoying it and being grateful, and then thinking, oops, maybe I'm creating karma by doing that, or forming an attachment to that experience of feeling everything is beautiful by acknowledging its existence, the existence of perfect harmony. Okay. So Bobby, it's not that hard to figure it out. You're doing great. Just listen. When you have experience and you're grateful for that moment, when you have an experience and you're grateful for it, the gratitude itself and the appreciation of the aesthetic beauty or harmony of the situation, or how it makes you feel connected in a greater way, to your essence and the universe because of that connection to your own essence, that's not inherently or intrinsically attachment. But reflexive secondary causes of thinking about it that puts conditioning on it. First of all, it changes the experience, so it's good not to do it anyway. But if you're not then dwelling on it, if you're not making meaning about it, what about what it means about me especially, then it's not attachment. It's no big deal. So in other words, a key point here that we talk about in Trikonasana Yoga, which is so crucial, is that experience conditioning you? Think about it. Is this experience of beauty, is this experience of that you're grateful for, whatever it is it conditioning you? Let's say you hit a height of sexual union with your lover and you're in just the openness of it. It's showing you your own nature, maybe. In the reflexive moment, right after that split second of total awareness, which is, hard to hold for more than a split millisecond, does it come back to us in the form of, oh, I hope it happens again? Or thinking about it, talking about the qualities of it in your mind, rating it, thinking about the cause of it, how to make it happen again. All that starts happening, applying it to the story. Now I'm complete. Now I had this experience. That's all ahankara. That's all ego structure, right? So in that reflexive secondary movement, that's where all the attachment / conditioning all occurs. So if we don't do that, we remain open. I remember specifically in my training when certain amazing things would happen. Everybody who was in training would just be like, we'd all just put our heads down and just kind of walk away. Like, don't say anything, just put your head down, have a little Cheshire grin on your mouth and just walk away. Because you don't want to do that. You don't want to recapitulate it and turn it into a concept, a story, a memory, a gradation of good or bad or worse or wonderful. You don't want to do any of that. So it's not intrinsically a problem to have these experiences. This is what life is about in one way. As much as it's about the bad stuff, it's about the good stuff too. But were you conditioned by it? And are you now conditioning yourself more by being attached to it and creating a story about it? So that's the answer to number one. Number two, you say, I think you mean me, you say the path is something sweet, but I feel frustration, sadness when having to say goodbye to relationships that no longer complement or feed my new commitment to the TMY path. You knew I'd do that, right? Did you also have this experience in the beginning? The path is sweet, Bobby. The path is sweet. If people aren't contributing to your path, why would you be with them? And letting them go is not a sadness that you should dwell on. But, like I have friends in the past that I really love. I love these people, but I can't be around them because all they want to do is party or bitch and moan and complain, whatever it is, and I can't be around them. There's some aspect of them that I love about them, and we share that bond from way back in history, but I don't want to be around it anymore because it's not dharmic. It doesn't contribute to the greater dharma or where I'm going in my nadi, so it would purely be sentimental clinging of why I really would feel sad and frustration about letting go of people that no longer feed where I'm going. And then I've met a million more people who do feed where I'm going, and it's very beautiful. But of course, my experience of friends is very different now, and that's why you'll see that most yogins don't really have what lay people call friends, a deep friend group that they hang out with and go through life with and die with, and because there's such a tendency towards attachment, wasting time, conditioning yourselves, delaying detachment, and so forth. But that's what I'm talking about, hardcore yogins that are wandering yogins in Tibet and India and that kind of thing. For us lay folks who are practicing, it's great to have friends, but you have to keep it really clear about attachment. It's all about attachment, right? Did I have the experience of frustration and sadness when I was letting go of people? Well, I had two experiences, both having frustration and sadness involved in them. The major one, I was just telling my wife and a meditation solo retreatant who's here right now last night, I had this experience of they were getting rid of me. I was uninteresting to them. If I go to enough parties and I say, no, I don't want the drugs, no, I don't want the alcohol, and then I hang around at the party while people are on drugs and alcohol and they're talking shit. So, well, no, I don't really want to talk to you about that. It's ridiculous. Like, I just either don't respond. Little by little, people got that, this guy's no fun. Your guy's no fun as Yogi Bogey. So why we're not going to invite him anymore to parties? I used to see my first wife get ready to go out. And I said, "What are you doing, honey? Where are we going?" "Oh, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to Matthew's housewarming." "Why am I not going?" They said, "Because you're not invited." And I said, "Well, I'll come along anyway." They go, "Well, that." I said, better don't bring him because I was such a downer because I wasn't getting into it. So I was being rejected constantly. And my family did that to me. My friends did that to me. Even received letters from friends and family wherein I was called the black sheep because I turned my back on them, which means I wasn't attached. I wasn't going to support their BS stories about their life and their suffering. And I was going to tell them, I'm not into that. And you're not going to get that kind of emotional support from me where I agree with all your stories and do all the things you want me to do to remain your good friend. And because of that, I was no longer their good friend. I was now a traitor. I still remember one guy telling me I'm a traitor, another guy telling me I'm a black sheep, my family saying I'm the black sheep. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to benefit all beings. I'm trying to get realized here. Like my wife said to me the other day, I'm taking this noble path of being a tantric yogini. I'm trying to transform myself into pure light for the benefit of all beings, to liberate all beings as much as possible and contribute to the Dharma. Why doesn't anybody recognize this as a noble pursuit? Why am I getting such cold shoulders from people or even being dissed by people? I said, get used to it. It's the life of a yogini. This is the way it is because it's threatening our lifestyle, our way of being, though we love our old friends more than we could when we were friends with them earlier in our life, because we're getting more and more unconditional love experience. Though we love our old friends, though we love our family, they can't hang with us, right? They feel that we're judging them even when we're not, simply by not eating meat or not eating the alcohol or not having the sex or not making the sexist joke or not making a racist joke or not laughing at a racist joke or pointing out that it's really racist when they make a racist joke. We're pointing out that we're just doing the same thing we always do for Christmas, telling the same stupid stories over and over again, which were really beautiful at one time, but reliving it as our main mode of being is to live in the past and be completely stuck. Who are we? Are we fresh? No one wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. You're going to get rejected. So I had two experiences. I was rejected and I was cutting off both. That's just the life of a yogin. I made this like wah, wah, wah mudra before because it's not worth getting upset about. If we cry about it, then we really don't understand what we're doing. And there is a sweetness inside all of this. It takes a while to touch that sweetness to know that when you're letting go, you're doing the best for everybody, but that's what you're doing. Okay. One more thing, Elaide, I saw that Elaide wrote back again as a clarification. I missed it before about that her first yoga teacher, who was kind of her guru, infused the teachings that she was getting from her with tons of Course in Miracles stuff. And this perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about right now, that what I talked about in the question before, that we don't really want to have incomplete teachings by incomplete teachers, that they have to fill in from some new age technology of some sort or shamanism or something else. We don't need it. Get a teacher who's fully trained. That's what I'm saying. Get a teacher who's fully trained, who knows the path from beginning to end. You don't have to worry about all that other stuff. Oh, great, Jorge. Annalisa, wonderful. Glad you were able to be helped by all that. That's wonderful. There was a question by Faisal here that was related to this too, I thought. Where'd it go? Oh, the question by Faisal.
Yeah, I lost it.
What was it about?
He feels the only practice he can do right now is non-conceptual. Is that enough?
Okay. Not related too much to Faisal there. Oh, yeah, it is in some sense. So a complete system is what I'm saying. You need a teacher who can teach you. You need a teacher who, A, knows the complete system intellectually very well. B, the teacher who has practiced that complete system, has the attainment to some degree, right? C, they have the understanding of how to take people through that system. That's really important too. And like Faisal, you're getting into Dzogchen a lot, which is great, admirable. I love it myself. I'm following a program of Dzogchen. It's a complete program. It's 35 steps, 35 very clear, distinct steps that have to be achieved, that must be done with practices at each one is a practice. So unless you're doing that, like you're saying, okay, if I can't find it in myself to do anything else but sit non-conceptual, Well, sitting non-conceptual in Dzogchen happens kind of down around step 4 or 5 out of 35. This is not to put you down or say you're coming from a low place at all. Please don't take it that way. I'm trying to help you understand the positioning of calm abiding and non-conceptual meditation, that no matter what experiences are happening, it's still got a long way to go in the progressive steps. Now, the problem is I haven't seen a lot of lamas that are willing to teach this 35-step program at all, ever. It's very rare. And that's if I ever teach Dzogchen, it'll be in that mode only. It will not be pot-shotting a meditation from Dzogchen here, a poa practice there, here a mantra, there a mantra, everywhere a mantra. No, this is a terrible way to teach it, in my opinion. I think people should be introduced to every path progressively through the stages. When you do way of meditation, it's not Dzogchen. It's definitely the Indian version of meditation into realization, but it gets to what I believe to be, in a comparative level, a very high level of Mahamudra. And I know that because I practiced it to completion, and I was having Mahamudra, and then beginnings of Toga lights were occurring. Beginnings of all kinds of lights were occurring. And that's when my gurus pushed me into Dzogchen, because I needed to understand what this light stuff was that was happening. I was getting manifestations of lights everywhere. And I was like, this is kind of distracting, confusing. And yet at the same time, I feel it's the next step, but I don't understand it. And our teachings didn't really cover it in a deep way with detail. And the Dzogchen still does. So non-conceptual meditation is not the final stage in Dzogchen. It is not. There are many practices that you do after non-conceptual meditation to lead into stabilizing the mind in its own essence, and then stabilizing the light of the mind's nature in its own essence. And that's a lot of practices. So that's real Dzogchen. And this goes again with what I'm saying, because there are yoga teachers out there teaching people as if they're gurus, acharyas, and because they didn't come from a guru acharya system and don't know complete practice sets, then they are bringing in Course in Miracles, or they're bringing in a Dzogchen practice here or there or something else. That's not what we're doing in Trikamasiddha Yoga. We're giving complete systems of practice, because that's important to maintain the integrity of those systems. So if you do Way of Kundalini Hatha Yoga, that is a very complete system of Kundalini Hatha Yoga. I might say in the public, I've never seen a complete system of Kundalini Hatha Yoga. It might be out there, and I'm really happy it is. I just don't know about it. So we thought compelled to put ours out, because I want to preserve it. I want to save it. It's a great system of practice. I want to see people take that way of fire, that Kundalini Hatha Yoga. Same thing, I want to see people go through Way of Meditation. Why we offer Mind of Shiva retreat every year, to help people get experience in that, and then the other trainings in the Way of Meditation itself, and so on. Okay. And then there's some others. What is the treasury of worms, and how do you work with it? Big question. Too big for now, Crystal. Sorry. I really am sorry about that. It's been asked before in the Yogi to Yogi, and I have covered it before. So if you can go back and listen to the other Yogi Yogis that are in the YouTube channel, that would be great. We go into it in detail in the in-person Foundations retreat. So I'm sorry, it's going to bum you out. But basically, treasury worms, in a nutshell, can mean a lot of things. It's a lot of karmas that are so deep and so powerful that they go beyond what you think of as your own personal story. They include your personal story, but they also go beyond what you think of as your personal story. And you think, my God, that can't relate to me. Is that really my karma, my energy? That's a treasury of worms. And it's such a treasury of worms because it's so deep in us that if we find it, these are the karmas that keep us coming back. The Rahu, Saturn karma that just keeps us coming back. The really deep stuff that we don't see, or that we're unwilling to truly change. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of horsepower to go, no, I'm not going to do that, and change. But first you got to know about it. Sometimes treasury worms are unconscious, right? So come to those other trainings and we'll try to get that to you there. Yeah, Zane Ivy. I'd ask a simple question about practice. Yay, thank you. So you have any suggestions on how to improve visualization, etc.? Visualizing Ida Pingala. There are a lot of ways to do this, and there are very good books about it. I've seen them. I don't remember the titles or who wrote them, but you can get books on how to get better at visualization. Probably find free online courses as well nowadays, or paid for online courses. But the way we do it is, let's say, Zane, like especially you're talking about the channels here in chakras, you build them very slowly. So when I take people through Rudy's Kriya Yoga work, and we need to really have a visceral and visual sense of the channels that's unbroken, we might start with the points on the front channel, the points on the back channel. And maybe they're separated by like this much distance. And you can do this in Taoism too. And you just pick the 2 points, hold them in your mind really clearly where they are in the body, and just breathe back and forth between those 2 points. A very small channel like that. Not trying to hold this whole thing in your mind, right, Zane? So you do that, and you do that a lot until it's really clear. And you can just close your eyes, and there it is. There it goes again. Close your eyes, there it is. Great. Then you do it with the next section. Then you do it with the next section, not adding them together. Then you do next section. And you do all the way around this orbit, as it's called. The front and back channel make this orbit. Mantak Chia calls microcosmic orbit, right? It's a good word for it, orbit. And that connection of that egg shape, right? Now, after you've got each little section and you've become familiar with it, each section by section, then what I would do is start to try to link 2 of them together, then 3 of them together, then 4. Oh, 4 gets difficult. I'm starting to lose my sense of it. I'm starting to lose that connection between 3 and 4. It's kind of shaky in my visual. Then just focus on 1 to 2 again, 1 to 3 again, bring 1, 4 again. And just with exercise that way, it'll start to come together. Then you can work on the qualitative aspects of those channels and those chakras that relate in those areas as well. That can come later too. Okay, Zane, great. Good on it. Go for it.
There's Nelson.
Nelson. Hello, Nelson. Hello, Brazil. Hello, Dharmaji. How come more Brazilians aren't on here, Nelson? What's going on? It's not that late for you guys. It's only like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Oh, disappointment. Okay. No, just kidding. So, Nelson, here you are. If possible, could you please elucidate how the Yoga Nidra's intent always comes to fruition? This considers questions. Okay. The Yoga Nidra intent that you make, the sankalpa, the resolve that you make at the end and the beginning and end of Yoga Nidra. My guru would always say it always comes to pass. So I pass that teaching on as well. Why? Because when you place this stuff deep in your psychology, deep in your subconscious, deep in your brain, like if you're practicing Yoga Nidra and you're in the beginning and you say the sankalpa, by the time you became aware of your whole body, felt heavy, felt light, looked at your body from above and went back into your body. If you're developing any skill with this, after a few months of practice, you should be in alpha brainwave level already. And anything you plug in alpha brainwave level as a maxim, an aphorism, a saying that you want to happens because it goes in and deeply, unless it's like, I want to fly like a bird, it's not going to happen. But if you put in doable things that you just find difficult to attain, it's going to happen. Because that deep programming at alpha reprograms your brain, reprograms your perceptions, reprograms your aptitudes, your ability to take advantage of opportunities, your everything, motivates all your resources towards that achievement. And the same thing at the end. When you say it at the end, you might even be in deeper state. You might be in alpha again, but you could be in theta. And there it goes in really deep and makes a really deep impression. I do this every single deep sankalpas or resolves or statements of intent, deep in states of theta. I do it at night before in dream yoga. I do this a lot of times at a day. It's something I learned when I was in junior high and high school through Success Motivation Institute course and through the Silva Mind Control method. And it's very, very powerful for achieving character change, things that are very hard to achieve. I think it's extremely useful for this. So definitely do it. Did you ask me that or how it works? Okay, that's how it comes to fruition, okay? Because it reprograms you deep down. Now, that's just you, but spiritually speaking, I think when you call out with very deep aspirations, very deep commitments and resolves, and you have a connection to the Mahasiddhas, to the Devas as well, you'll get that result. You'll have now unseen support as well. It's the person who only tries to get the support from the deities or the Mahasiddhas to make something happen for them that never has it happen, because I think it has to come from you as well, right? Some people say that points to the fact that there are no deities or Mahasiddhas and it's all about you. I'm okay with that too. Either way, it works and it happens. Kendra, is that the next one? That's it, right? Yeah, okay, we did it. Okay. So we did it. Another Yogi to Yogi. Another great, beautiful day in the tropics here. Hopefully it's beautiful where you are. Sorry about all the interruptions with the internet. That's the way it goes down here. We're looking at improving that before the course starts. Okay. And so everyone, go out and enjoy your day. Be nice to each other. Love everybody. Sarva Mangalam. May it benefit everybody.